In a faraway village, there lived a young man named Jack. He and his mother had little to their name, except for a scrawny cow that barely produced any milk. One day, Jack's mother asked him to take the cow to the market to sell it, as they could no longer afford to feed her. With a heavy heart, Jack set off to the market. On his way, he encountered a strange man who offered to buy the cow in exchange for a handful of magical beans. Jack hesitated but eventually agreed, wondering how these beans could possibly make him rich. When Jack returned home and told his mother about the trade, she was furious. She threw the beans out of the window in anger, and Jack went to bed hungry and full of regret. Little did he know, his life was about to change forever. The next morning, Jack woke up to an unusual sight. The sunlight that usually streamed into his room was blocked by something massive outside his window. Curiously, he looked out and was astonished to see a gigantic beanstalk reaching up into the clouds. Filled with a sense of adventure, Jack decided to climb it to see where it led. After a long and arduous climb, Jack finally reached the top. Before him stood a colossal castle, the likes of which he had never seen before. His heart pounded with both fear and excitement as he approached the entrance. Inside the castle, Jack was overwhelmed by its sheer size and grandeur. However, his awe quickly turned to terror when he encountered a group of skeletons guarding a sleeping giant. Despite his fear, Jack's curiosity got the better of him, and he continued to explore the castle. As Jack crept through the castle, the giant suddenly stirred but did not wake. Jack watched as the giant pulled out a sack of gold coins from his pocket and placed it on the table before falling back into a deep sleep. Seizing the opportunity, Jack quietly grabbed the sack of gold and hurried back down the beanstalk. His mother was astounded by the gold and asked Jack where he had found it. When he told her the story, she was shocked but relieved that their fortunes had finally changed for the better. Despite their newfound wealth, Jack couldn't shake the urge to return to the giant's castle. The next day, he climbed the beanstalk once more, determined to see what other treasures the giant might be hiding. When Jack entered the castle again, he saw the giant giving orders to a golden hen. "Lay a golden egg, you foolish bird," the giant commanded, and to Jack's amazement, the hen laid a perfectly golden egg. Jack waited until the giant fell asleep before stealing the hen and making his way back down the beanstalk. His mother was overjoyed with the golden hen, but Jack was already planning his next visit to the castle. On his third visit to the castle, Jack found the giant awake and playing a magical harp that produced the most beautiful music Jack had ever heard. Entranced by the melody, Jack hid and waited until the giant fell asleep before attempting to steal the harp. But as soon as Jack touched the harp, it cried out, "Master, help me! Someone is trying to steal me." The giant awoke with a start and began chasing Jack through the castle. Jack raced to the beanstalk with the giant hot on his heels. In a far Jack climbed down the beanstalk as quickly as he could, his pulse pounding in his ears. The giant's thunderous steps grew louder, reverberating through the sky like ominous drums. When Jack reached the ground, he didn't waste a second. He grabbed a sturdy axe that lay by the barn and swung with all his might at the base of the colossal beanstalk. Chips of green stem flew in every direction, and the beanstalk groaned under the strain. Jack could feel the vibrations of the giant's approach, each step sending tremors through the earth. Sweat trickled down his face, mingling with the dirt on his hands. With one final, desperate swing, the beanstalk began to topple. There was a deafening crash as the giant's massive form hurtled towards the ground. Dust and leaves exploded into the air as the giant hit the earth, the impact shaking the very foundation of the land. Silence followed the cacophony, a quiet so profound it left Jack's ears ringing. The giant lay lifeless, his pursuit ended by a simple but decisive act of bravery. With the threat of the giant gone, Jack and his mother collected the magical treasures, a golden harp that sang the sweetest melodies and a hen that laid golden eggs. Their fortunes transformed overnight. They moved to a new home and bought a sprawling farm, filled with contented cows grazing in lush pastures. Jack and his mother tended to their farm with care, their hearts light and their days filled with joy. The memory of the Beanstalk adventure faded into a tale they sometimes told over warm evening suppers, a story of courage, quick thinking, and a fortunate twist of fate. They lived happily ever after, their lives forever changed by the magical beans and the adventures they brought.